The spotlight found him when he was only 5 years old. Little Michael Jackson stood on that stage in Gary, Indiana, his small hands gripping a microphone that seemed too big for his body. The crowd erupted as his voice soared through the smoky club, pure and powerful beyond his years. They saw a child prodigy. They saw magic. But they didn't see what happened when the curtains closed. Behind those walls, his father Joseph drilled the children relentlessly. Mistakes meant punishment. Childhood meant nothing. There were no lazy Saturday mornings or games in the yard. There was only practice, performance, and the constant pressure to be perfect. Michael learned early that love came with conditions. He learned to hit every note, nail every step, and flash that brilliant smile even when his body ached and his heart hurt. The Jackson 5 exploded onto the world stage, and suddenly everyone wanted a piece of him. At an age when most kids were learning to ride bikes, Michael was learning to carry the weight of his family's dreams. He became the golden child, the one who could do no wrong in public but could never do enough in private. The applause was deafening, but it couldn't drown out the voice in his head that whispered he wasn't good enough. Night after night, he gave audiences joy while swallowing his own sadness. He made millions dance while he forgot how to simply be a kid. The world fell in love with his talent, but Michael was already learning the cruelest lesson of fame: you can be surrounded by thousands and still feel completely alone. The boy who brought magic to others was quietly losing his own childhood, piece by precious piece. The transformation was staggering. Michael Jackson didn't just become famous. He became a phenomenon that defied explanation. Thriller shattered every record, turned music videos into art, and made the moonwalk a move that defined a generation. He was everywhere and everything. MTV played his videos on repeat. Radio couldn't get enough. The world watched him grab his crotch, spin on his toes, and lean forward at an impossible angle, defying gravity itself. He was the king of pop, and his kingdom stretched across every continent. But inside Neverland Ranch, the kingdom he built for himself, Michael was constructing something else entirely. He filled it with amusement park rides, exotic animals, and rooms full of toys. He invited children to visit, to play, to experience the childhood he never had. To the world, it looked strange. To Michael, it was everything. He was trying to reclaim what had been stolen from him. Every carousel spin, every game played, every laugh shared was his attempt to touch the innocence that slipped through his fingers decades ago. Yet the more successful he became, the more isolated he felt. Trust became impossible. Everyone wanted something. Record labels wanted hits. Managers wanted percentages. Fans wanted pieces of him until there was nothing left. He couldn't walk down a street, eat at a restaurant, or have a normal conversation without security, disguises, and paranoia. His face changed, and the tabloids mocked him mercilessly. They called him strange, bizarre, a freak. They questioned everything about him. What they didn't understand was that Michael was desperately trying to create someone new, someone who wasn't that little boy getting beaten in Gary. Someone who had control over his own image, his own life, his own story. But control is an illusion when you're that famous. The pressure mounted. The pills started. Sleep wouldn't come naturally anymore. The accusations hit like an earthquake. In 1993, a boy claimed Michael had abused him. The media frenzy was instant and brutal. Suddenly, the man who gave the world Heal the World was being called a monster. The trial of public opinion happened faster than any court could move. Radio stations pulled his songs. Former friends distanced themselves. The same magazines that put him on their covers now destroyed him on those same pages. Michael's world crumbled. He couldn't understand how the world could turn so completely. He settled the case, paying millions, which many saw as an admission of guilt. He maintained his innocence, but the stain wouldn't wash away. His health deteriorated. The pain medications increased. He married Lisa Marie Presley in what seemed like a desperate attempt to prove he was normal, that he could have an adult relationship. But nothing felt real anymore. Every move was scrutinized, every word twisted. He had more money than he could spend, more fame than anyone could handle, but he couldn't buy peace. He couldn't purchase redemption. The second set of accusations in 2003 was even worse. This time, there would be a trial. Michael Jackson, the greatest entertainer alive, sat in a courtroom day after day while prosecutors painted him as a predator and defenders fought to save what remained of his legacy. The world watched, fascinated and horrified. He was acquitted on all charges, but victory felt hollow. The man who walked out of that courtroom was a ghost of the vibrant performer who once commanded stadiums. His spirit was broken in ways that no amount of success could repair. He retreated further into himself, surrounded by handlers and yes-men who enabled his worst habits. The pills that helped him sleep became the pills that helped him function, then the pills that made him forget. Michael was drowning, and nobody could save him because nobody could reach him anymore. By 2009, Michael Jackson was financially desperate and emotionally exhausted. His debts had mounted into hundreds of millions. Neverland was gone, foreclosed. His relevance was questioned by a generation that knew him more for controversy than for music. Then came the announcement that shocked everyone, a comeback residency in London. 50 concerts. This is it, he called it. For Michael, it was more than a tour. It was his last chance at redemption, his final opportunity to prove he was still the king. Rehearsals began, and for brief moments, flashes of the old Michael appeared. He still had the moves. His voice, though weakened, still carried that unmistakable soul. The dancers around him watched in awe as he worked through routines, corrected details, and demanded perfection. He was preparing to remind the world why they fell in love with him. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart. Michael wasn't sleeping. His doctor, Conrad Murray, was giving him propofol, a powerful anesthetic used in hospitals, to knock him unconscious. Night after night, Michael would beg for his milk, the drug that would finally grant him peace. His body was failing. He was rail-thin, exhausted, running on fumes and medication. The people around him saw it but did nothing. Or perhaps they did nothing because they needed the tour to happen. Money was riding on it. Careers depended on it. On June 25, 2009, Conrad Murray administered that fatal dose. Michael Jackson stopped breathing. Attempts to revive him failed. At 2:26 in the afternoon, he was pronounced dead. The news spread across the world in minutes. Internet servers crashed. Newsrooms went into overdrive. Celebrities posted tributes. Fans gathered outside his home, outside the hospital, everywhere, crying for a man they'd never met but who had been part of their lives forever. He was only 50 years old. The funeral was watched by billions. Stars spoke. Family members wept. His golden casket was carried past crowds of mourners who couldn't believe he was really gone. But death did something remarkable for Michael Jackson. It reminded the world of what they'd forgotten in all the controversy and chaos. It reminded them of the music. Thriller played everywhere. Billie Jean filled the airwaves. Man in the Mirror took on heartbreaking new meaning. Suddenly, people remembered watching him moonwalk for the first time. They remembered where they were when they first saw the Thriller video. They remembered the joy he brought them, the way his music made them feel alive. His children stood at the memorial, and the world saw his greatest achievement wasn't music at all. It was them. 3 kids he fought to protect from the spotlight that had devoured him. They spoke about a father who was gentle and loving, who did voices and played games. That was the Michael his family knew, the one the public rarely saw. In the years since his death, his legacy has only grown. New generations discover his music and can't believe one person created so much brilliance. His albums continue to sell. His influence can be heard in every pop star who followed. Michael Jackson took all the pain life gave him and transformed it into art that will outlive us all. He danced through his agony, sang through his sorrow, and gave the world beauty while he quietly suffered. He paid the ultimate price for fame, sacrificing his childhood, his peace, his privacy, and ultimately his life. But what he left behind is eternal. Every time someone moonwalks, every time Billie Jean plays, every time a child discovers his music and feels that electric joy, Michael Jackson lives again. He gave us magic, and even though he's gone, the magic remains.